All right, you guys, welcome back to Metabolism on Lesson 3.5, Modeling Cellular Respiration in an Athlete's Body. We're going to start out with our warm-up, and in our warm-up, we are going to be answering some questions because next part of the activities, you will be considering how a normal body, a normal healthy body, is different from an athlete's body. So you're going to make some predictions, and I'm going to jump over to Amplify. So in Amplify, in the warm-up, you're just going to tell me how many oxygen molecules are taken in per breath. So the athlete's results will be what compared to the normal healthy body's results. And then the same thing for the oxygen molecules that are absorbed. Make sure that you guys explain your reasoning. Third question is the highest cellular respiration level, the athletes will be which one of these compared to a normal healthy body? Explain your answers here. Go ahead and pause the video and take about 3 minutes to answer these questions. Just keep it kind of brief, but make sure that you explain your reasoning as well. So pause the video here. All right, so in activity 2, you guys are going to be comparing the healthy body to an athlete's body. So you and a partner. So remember, you need to be paired up with somebody who's doing the same lesson so you guys can work together. So make sure you're working with a buddy. It will make it a lot easier for you. So work with a partner and look at the data table. At a data table to compare a healthy body to the athlete's body and discuss the differences that you notice. I'm going to bring that up on Amplify. So in part 2, look at this chart that you have here. And it says up here, this data represents tests from a simulation similar to the one that we've been using. This simulation represents the body of an athlete, though. So talk to your partner and discuss how metabolism in the athlete's body is different from a normal person's body. So talk with your partner, discuss that metabolism, and pause the video now so that you can do that with your partner. Just take a couple of minutes to do that. Okay, so we're going to go on to activity 3, keeping it short and sweet today. But in activity 3, we're going to be modeling that athlete's body to see what's going on. So you're going to make a model of what is happening in the athlete's body based on what you saw in the data table and what you discussed with your partner. You will start with a model of a normal healthy body. So this is a model that you see on the screen here is a normal healthy body. It shows oxygen coming into the body, oxygen being absorbed by the cells during exercise. So we've got the oxygen coming into the body, getting into the circulatory system, being absorbed by the cells, and we see cellular respiration happening in the cells here because energy is being released. So you will start with this model and change it to show what an athlete's body would look like doing the same activity. So we're going to jump into Amplify and look at what that part of the lesson looks like. So we're going to look at part 3. So in part 3, it says launch this sim. So I'm going to launch it and let that load. And it says the starting model represents the molecules in a healthy body when exercising. So your goal is to show what is happening in an athlete's body during exercise. So what you're going to do is change this model of starch, glucose, and oxygen molecules in a healthy body during exercise to model what happens in an athlete's body during exercise. So a little tip for you is to refer to your data table to identify the differences between a healthy body and an athlete's body, and you're going to be revising and handing in this model later on in this lesson. So I'm going to jump back to that model that they're talking about. It's just in part 2. It's the one that you just looked at and discussed with your partner right here. And then once you're done with looking at that model and kind of showing what's going on with this athlete in this modeling tool, then you're going to describe how your model is different from the healthy body. So this is what that modeling tool looks like when you bring it up. You're just going to alter this to show what it would look like in an athlete's body. And you'll get to change it again later. So just put what your thoughts are and make sure you hit hand in. And it should come up later on in the lesson so you can come back and look at it. Just make sure you hit hand in. So pause the video right now and go ahead and set up that model based on what you think that athlete's body is going to look like. Okay, so we are actually going to skip activity 4. So we are going to move right on to activity 5. Okay, before we do, I'm going to ask you this question and see what your predictions are. How would an athlete who's blood doping be different from a normal athlete? So we read this article about blood doping, and in this article you learned what it means and what is going on with it. So in this question, discuss it with your partner. What would it look like if it was an athlete who's blood doping compared to a normal athlete? What would change in their body? So pause the video here to discuss that with your partners. Okay, we're going to hop into modeling that blood doping athlete's body using part 5 in your lesson, so activity 5. So you're going to use your predictions about blood doping athletes to revise the model of the athlete you created in an earlier lesson. So if you said that the person that is blood doping would have more red blood cells than a normal athlete, and the red blood cells would carry oxygen, so they would end up having more oxygen in their circulatory system. You would be totally right. So we're going to see a ton more oxygen. So let's see if that's going to be the case. So you're going to use those predictions to help you revise this model that you created in an earlier lesson. So we're going to go back to Amplify now. I'm going to pause and go back to Amplify. So give me just a second. Okay, so we're going to go back to the Amplify lesson now, and we're going to go to the modeling tool. So in the modeling tool, it says go back to the metabolism modeling tool activity 3.5, modeling an athlete. So if you click on this, it'll bring it up for you, where you made a model of an athlete's body during exercise. Based on your predictions below about the athlete who is blood doping, change your model in order to represent what a blood doping athlete's body would look like during the same activity. Now remember, you can go back to your original activity. It'll bring you right back to it if you click on that button that I just clicked on, if you saw what I was talking about. But this is actually from the article that we would have just reread too. So what you're going to do is, based on your predictions about that athlete who is blood doping, change your model in order to represent what a blood doping athlete would look like during the same activity. If you need to go back in part 4 and reread this article so that you can get a little bit better of understanding to be able to do this, please do that. And then come back here and answer this question down here at the bottom by turning in your new model. So you're going to bring up that model that I showed you. This is what it looks like. You had changed it up before, so you're just going to edit it again and add some annotations to your model to explain how it is different from an athlete's body that is healthy. So upload that image here. And remember, if you hit hand in, it will automatically put it on this page if you refresh it. All right, so that's the end of this lesson. Make sure you go back to Amplify and see what else you need to do. Make sure you check your key concepts before you take your mastery check, and go ahead and get that mastery check done as soon as you're done with this lesson.